gamers, I'm Jason.
I'm Julie.
And today on Dice and Dragons, we are going to be reviewing Born to Serve by Shoot Again Games. Now, the game is designed by Diane and Nick Sauer, and just so we don't hide anything, this is a review copy that we got of the game. With that being said, I'm going to let Julie take it away and tell you more about the game itself.
So it's a competitive game that plays...
Ooh, it's competitive, and you played it.
I did.
She did. Multiple times.
Am I allowed to speak now?
Yes.
2 to 5 players, ages 13 and above. The box says that it takes about an hour to play. I guess maybe we played on a different...
We played the short variants because we wanted to get multiple plays in of the game. You can play lunch through dinner or just dinner, which is what we did.
So that was probably more like half an hour, maybe 45 minutes when we played multiple people.
Mm-hmm. So, what are you doing in the game? Well, you are an out-of-work superhero. Maybe, what, a C-list superhero?
Or D.
D-list superhero? Yeah, so your D-list super team has lost its government funding. You are now competing against the 10 other members of your team for a job. What does that mean? Well, you're going to be waiting some tables in Born to Serve and using your superpowers to get the most tips and be the waiter that actually stays on with the new position. So, what time is it now, Julie?
Well, it's time to grab our drinks.
Our best friend. Well, sidekick in this point.
And we're going to take it to the table.
We're going to take it to the table. You know, I like the way that everything works with the tables, waiting the tables, and also making money. Everyone likes to make money. Now let's take a quick look at the components for Born to Serve. We'll start with the tables and then move down through the rest of the components. So as you can see, we've got 4 different stacks of tables. The reason for that is the different player counts. Tables 1 through 3 you're going to be using all the time for any player count. Tables 4 and 5, 3 plus, 6 and 7, 4 plus, 8 and 9 will be 5 players. Now you'll notice that each of the different table settings have different places where you can have customers sitting where you'll need to place your service tokens. You can also get some bonuses from specific tables, like table 6 will give you an extra plus $2 to your tip. Table 1 will give you $1. This space right here is to place the lunch or the dinner cards. Don't worry, we'll talk about that in just a second. And just to give you an idea of the different variety of the tables, as you can see, table 1 is only 3 spaces, table 2 is 4 spaces, and table 3 will go up to 5 spaces with also some chances for bonus dollars. The space that you see right here underneath the table symbol is for some of the bonus tokens that you can gain by working with the other restaurant staff. Now, we've covered the tables. Let's take a look at the heroes. Now, I'm not going to go over all of their special abilities. That would take way too long. But here are what are the 5 recommended starting heroes. That's why I've got the 2 stacks. We've got the Human Pinball, Whoosh, clearly based on the Flash, Adam Amp, Nuclear Nelly, and Madame Mystique. So we'll take a look at what types of powers they do have. So for the Human Pinball, you get Shoot Again. Nice reference to the publishers. So if you still have a service token available, instead of placing it, you may remove one of your service markers from a table and place it on a different table. Pretty cool. You can actually change where you're going with your strategy. Bang Shot, when you place a service token on a table, place it 1 position higher than the current position. Than the current available open position, meaning if 2 is open, you could place it on the 3. Just lets you get some better positioning on some of the tables. We'll take a quick look at Whoosh. So Super Swift, you may take a 6 service token from your Fortress of Loneliness and use it this round. Double Time, you may place 2 service tokens instead of 1. The 2 cannot be placed on the same table or staff, but this will let you set up some better planning. So that gives you an idea as to how the heroes work. And those were the base heroes, the ones that they recommend you start with. We'll take a look at some of the more complicated ones. I believe I haven't actually played with them. We'll take a look at what their powers are. So we've got Miss Twister, the Firecracker Kid, the Princess, it says the Adventures of Princess Charming, so it's just Princess Charming, the Mighty Myrtle, and Mr. Miss. So let's just take a look at Miss Twister. So let's see what Forecast says. You may take one of your actions at any time you wish, including interrupting a player as they are performing an action. Once your action is done, play resumes where it left off. A player's action you interrupted may take a completely different action. See, that's pretty cool. That's a full interrupt. A lot more complicated than any powers I've seen on these heroes. And Mighty Wind, you may rotate all service counters on a table one space clockwise or counterclockwise. Yeah, I can see why they recommend starting with these heroes. Not that they give you necessarily a big advantage, these powers, they just play a little differently. So we've taken a quick look at the heroes, got an idea as to what they do. Let's take just a quick look at the tokens. So as you can see, we've got our score token, which is going to go with our score chart, which I will now bring over. We didn't have enough space for it on components. So as you can see, it's set up to look like a menu, the Hero City Diner. Awesome, really love it. You open it up, you have your menu, but it's actually your score sheet. But if you notice in the background, you can actually see some different things you can order. As you can see, it goes up to 125. Love the coffee stain effect here. That's why you've got the tokens that start at 0. On the reverse side of it, that goes plus 125 after you've lapped the score sheet. So we've taken a look at that. We've taken a look at the tokens. You'll notice each one of them has their own different symbol there that help clarify which is which. We've got the Born to Serve player first hero marker. So this denotes who is going to be starting the game. Here we've got just some hero turn cards, helpful reference cards, as well as the icon guide that is on the back side of the card. There's one for each player for a total of 5. Now your tokens are going to be held in your Fortress of Loneliness. So as you can see, there's one for each color. So there's a total of 5 of them. That's just where you're going to stack all of your service tokens. Then we have the Phantom Zone here, where any scored markers will end up. Now here we have some cards that come with Born to Serve, and these are the hero cards. The reason why they're in the game is just so that you can shuffle it up and then randomly deal out the heroes. Now looking at how the different powers are, I'd say that's probably the best way to play the game, or limit options from, the first starting heroes. Now, next we've got our other restaurant employees. So we'll take a quick look at what they do. Now these tokens here are also tied to some of these employees. Now you will always be playing with a washroom attendant. He lets you get a service marker back from the Phantom Zone. The chef immediately lets you place a bonus plus $2 marker on a table. You can see those right there. So for example, that's where you place it to denote how much more money you're going to be making. Now, with regards to the hostess, it is a $3 marker. There's only one of them. So you can see by the single space that's there. And you can see the +3 on the other side. Next, we've got the owner, and this one's pretty cool. You may immediately switch one of your service markers on a table for an opponent's service marker on another table. Basically, maybe letting you win a table when you otherwise would not. Now, we've got the maitre d', and at the end of the service phase, you may place this service marker on any table. So meaning that at the end of the phase, you're going to be able to make one final move, either potentially winning a table or, getting ahead of your competition. We also have the valet, which is interesting. During the scoring phase, you may cause one table to score even if it's not filled with service markers. So you can actually make a table score, especially if you got some good tip that you know about on it. Madame Mystique can help you out with that. And you can also maybe screw up an opponent. There's the bartender, where during the scoring phase, each token that's on this space will score $4. And the busboy, which allows you to fully score a table even if you didn't win the table. Don't worry, we'll talk about scoring and everything like that as we go through the full how to play. Now lastly, we have the last components here. We still have the rule book, which we'll take a quick look at afterwards. We've got the lunch and dinner cards. Now you notice that there is green and yellow. The reason for that, green cards will be played face up. They represent your regulars and a good solid, steady stream of income. You always know what these people are going to be tipping you. You've got the same thing for lunch and dinner. got a little bit of flavor by seeing the different heroes, and you can also see just the dollar value. So for dinner, 8 and 9. It was 6 and 7 for lunch. Now, when you take a look at the yellow cards, you see a lot higher value, $9. You can even get some low value, $4, $8. So you're not really sure what you're going to get with regards to these cards. They could be good or something as terrible as $3, meaning yellow is not always better than dinner. And let's take a look at the dinner cards. As you can see, it goes from 7, 10, 6. So some of them aren't as good as the regulars, 11. I believe there's one 12 in there as well, 12. So dinner is where you're going to be making your real money. Now, we've gone ahead and taken a look at all the components. So we'll take a look at the rule book, which I love. It's got a feel of a classic late 80s, early 90s Marvel Comics. Love the shoot again game, just the way it's set up. And the rule book is overall well put together. It's primarily the text. There's really not that much flavor to it, but I do like the art and the layout. It's overall very, very good, except for just sometimes you got to jump around a little bit in it, which I didn't love as much, but great rule book. And I love the fact that we've got a little bit of a comic book story in the back there. Would love to maybe see this superhero team in action. Now, we've done it. We've covered all the components for Born to Serve. What we're going to do now is set up a quick 2-player game and teach you how to play. Now we're going to take a look at how you set up Born to Serve. This will be a 2-player setup. So as you can see, we've got tables 1 through 3 out. You will always have the washroom attendant. We are going to be playing with the heroes of Nuclear Nelly and the Human Pinball. Each of them has their Fortress of Loneliness set up. Also, just to highlight, we do have the score sheet. We'll take it out and show you how to do scoring, probably clean some stuff up, move the heroes around. We have our Phantom Realm, but there's still a few things that we need to do. Now, with a 2-player game, it's recommended that you have the washroom attendant and 4 additional waitstaff. And what you're going to want to do is you can actually do a draft where each player gets to pick which one they want. So just for this one, though, I'm just going to pick the additional waitstaff. We're going to go with the bartender. We will take the busboy. I like the hostess. And then we'll go with the chef. So that will be the 4 additional waitstaff that we're using for this game. I'll just straighten them up and make sure everything looks good on the camera. Next, we need to create the lunch and the dinner decks. Now, how do you do that? Well, with regards to the yellow cards, you're going to shuffle them up and deal a certain amount depending on the number of players. When it comes to the green cards, you go through them and you're going to look for the symbol that's right there. So for a 2-player game, we take out all the ones that are 2+. So there's 5, 4, and 3. So all of these ones are 2. So we'll set them aside. These are 2 as well. This is 4+. The rest of these will be returned to the box. Now for a 2-player game, you're going to take the lunch cards, shuffle them up because you don't want to know what they are. And then you're going to deal out 4 lunch cards. So we'll deal out 1, 2, 3, 4. And these will then be shuffled in with the green ones to make up our starting lunch stack. Now we're going to do the exact same thing with the dinner. I've already pre-shuffled the dinner up. We dropped the lunch card here, didn't notice it. Get that shuffled right in. Just put that down there, we're good to go. So we'll take dinner, we'll deal out 1, 2, 3, 4, as these have been pre-shuffled. Now let's take a look at the green cards. We'll take out all the ones that are labeled 2+. Right, so we have all of them now. We're then going to just take the cards, shuffle them together, and these are going to go below the lunch deck. So the lunch cards are going to be how we start the game. So we set it up like this. I'll place the cards right here. Seems a good place to put them. Actually, no, I'll keep them over here. Gives me a little bit more room to move this stuff around. So we're going to start by playing the first card onto the table. As it's a yellow, it's played face down. We have a green lunch card, which is then played face up. So we can see the value it is. There's also the +1 bonus. This is another green card here. So that'll be played face up. And now we are ready to go. We're ready to start the game. I'm just going to flip over the hero tiles because their superpower is now ready to go. And it can be used once during the service phase. So there you have it. That is how you set up Born to Serve. And we're going to teach you now how to play the game. Now we're going to play Born to Serve. There's just one last thing I need to do. I didn't take out these tokens. So we need to get these in the gameplay area. The chef tokens and the hostess token. Now, we've got 3 of the chef. And the one thing I just want to mark clearly is that the chef tokens do not return to the pool until the table is scored, whereas it's different for the hostess. Now, what do you do on your turn? Well, you're going to take 5 tokens, and you're going to place 4 of them on their regular side, 1 of them on the +1 high priority side. And we'll do the same thing for the human pinball. And now we're going to have our first service phase, and we're going to see if we actually get to a scoring phase. Well, we're not sure what the yellow is, but Nuclear Nelly wants to take the chance of maybe scoring something better than what's right here for lunch. So at this point, I'm just going to use my special hero power right away. So double strength, you may place 2 service tokens instead of 1. The 2 must be placed on the same table. Now you just flip it over. And I can place my 2 service tokens on the table like that, guaranteeing that I'm going to win the table. The way this works, to win the table and be the one that gets to score points from the tip money, you have to either own the table. So in a case of a 3-space table, you must have 2 tokens on it. On a 4-space table, you'd have to have 3. Or if it's a tie and you have your token in the highest spot, so spot 4, you would then be the one that would win the table. That being said, let's go ahead and go over to the human pinball. And solid move for him will be just to place a marker right there. I'll now go back over to Nuclear Nelly. And good idea right now, since the table is going to score for sure, you would place a service marker there, and then you can boost it by an extra $3. Well, the human pinball definitely wants to score this table. It's looking good right now. You can place a token on the bus boy, meaning you can fully score the table there. Now, what else do we want to do? I like the idea of the $6 table, so we'll place the token right there. Let's take a look at the different abilities that we have right here. So you got Shoot Again, which if you still have a token available, instead of placing it, you may remove one of your tokens from a table and place it on a different table. Don't really want to do that now, so we'll try the bank shot. It's always better to do something so you can place a token 1 higher than the current position. And what we'll do is place our priority $1 right here. Now when you place the $1 token, it boosts the tip value overall. So this table right now is worth 6 + 2 + 1 for a total of 9. So now we go over and it's Nuclear Nelly's turn. And she may want to actually double score this one. And we'll talk about scoring in a minute, but washroom attendant's not quite useful right now. So we're actually going to go with the chef and even make it even more attractive for us right here by getting a really nice hefty payday. Now the human pinball still has 2 that you can place. And just for the sake of gaining control of the table, we're going to place both of them here. Now, that ends the service phase. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at scoring. So how does scoring work? Well, we're going to take a quick break and we'll come right back with a look at scoring and show you when stuff goes into the Phantom Zone. We'll probably go through maybe one more service phase and then move on to our review of the game. So now let's take a look at scoring. Well, we only score tables that have been fully serviced, meaning the only table that we can score right now is table 1. So, and when you score also, you go table 1, table 2, table 3, you're going to move up. So first thing we do is we flip over this yellow card, and wow, it was a good one. So whopping $8, meaning total value for this table is going to be 9 plus 3, which is 12, $14. Now the player that won the table has a choice of scoring however many of their service markers they want, meaning that Nuclear Nelly could score this twice or just one time. But it's with such a high value and it's early on in the game, I don't know if we're going to get something that good again, especially on that table. Probably worth scoring it twice. Meaning what you then do is you take the 2 markers that you scored with, place them into the Phantom Zone. As we know, the human pinball wanted to do that as well. So they would then return this to the Fortress of Loneliness and score the $14 table with their token. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you what we do with the scoring then. I'm going to lay this down. Sorry, it's getting a little busy. We're going to need our 2 scoring tokens. Now, Nuclear Nelly's black, and they scored twice, meaning they are at 28. And then we've got 14 for the human pinball. We're now then going to just lift this off. I'm going to place this off camera so it's not taking up too much room. We then take this lunch card. We will discard it. We're then going to take a new one. I almost flipped it over. It'll only be flipped over if it was a green one. And these bonus tokens are now returned to where they were. And the tokens are also returned to your Fortress of Loneliness. Now, the first hero token passes from Nuclear Nelly to the human pinball. We're going to take our tokens again. So once again, I'm going to go back up to 5. And we will then start the next round. So keep it right here and we'll play through another round of Born to Serve. Then you should have a good idea as to how to play and score the game. And we're back with round 2 of our game of Born to Serve. And we're going to be starting off with the human pinball. Now, we completed the service phase, so we're now able to flip over our hero powers. And we'll be able to use them again. Now, as we're starting with the human pinball, we will take our +1 marker and place it on that table. It's just too good of an opportunity to not score that table and just get all the money for ourselves. Actually, you know what? Strategically, that's not a good move because Nuclear Nelly could essentially score it as well. So actually, instead of that, better move is going to be to just place it on the busboy and be a general pain in the butt. Now, Nuclear Nelly's got a bunch of stuff. Well, not too much, but 2 tokens in the Phantom Zones. Once I get one back, we'll place it there, putting the ball back in human pinball's court. Now, what we'll do is place one on table 5. Nuclear Nelly will also place a +1 on table 5, and she'll use the double strength to place 2 tokens. Now, it's not really the best strategic move. And you know what, I'm going to take back the $1 one because that's just really silly. But the reason why I wanted to do that is I want to show you what happens when we score a tie. Now, this does give the human pinball opportunity to win the table. And as they're already winning the other one for sure, that's what they're going to do. And as Nelly wants to to score this one. She maybe wants to score it. Actually, no, she can only score it one time. She's actually going to start playing right there. Now the human pinball will use their ability, the bank shot, which would let them place one higher, believing that's the next space. But at this case, though, it does let Nelly win the table, but he can still score it in a very good position. And for his last token, we will place it here, just cleaning that up. Not really doing any boost, although probably a smarter strategic move would be to, especially with a table that you win, put this here and gain an extra $3. So you got to look at it that way. The strategy they use is like boosting the table or cleaning a table up can really change the game. So now we're going to go into the scoring phase. As we went through that fairly quickly this time, I'm not going to spend too much time by doing a jump cut. We'll just go right into scoring. So for table 1, it's a weak table. You're only going to score $5. So at this point, we'll take that back to our Fortress of Loneliness. $5 ain't great. So what we're going to do is Nuclear Nelly will score just one of the tokens, meaning she gains one here, and the other one gets banished to the Phantom Zone. Now she does get to return one of her service markers from the Phantom Zone. Heck, not sure I really wanted to score that table. So we will off camera move her score track up 5 to 33. Next, we're scoring table 2, which goes to the human pinball. Now, the interesting thing about this, though, is that even though it doesn't look like the best move, when you have a tie, the player with the highest number is the one that wins the tie, but the other player, so in this case Nuclear Nelly, will score half the value of the tip rounded down, meaning we've got a total of 9. So that will be 4 points as well, once again, for Nuclear Nelly. So going to move that up on our board right away to 37. Now, we then will take her 2 black markers, put them back. Now we'll take a look at what we want to do for the human pinball here. That's a nice score. We can actually score both of these service markers if we would like, for a total of 9 each time, for a total of 18. Well, she's got a lot more service markers back than we do. Not sure if we want to do that, but definitely getting ahead. In this case, I would do it. I'll score both of them for a total of 18. Now, this gets returned. We actually get our service markers back. This actually was just more of a block. We didn't actually do anything with it, so keep that in mind if you are playing with the busboy. Now, I'm going to bring our score sheet back on camera. We need to move 18 up, so this will take us up to 24 plus 8 is 32. So not a bad move to catch up to Nuclear Nelly. And we got to show you what happens when there's a tie. We would continue the game by discarding these cards. You then once again draw new cards. And the game will then continue. So green once again gets flipped face up. Now, the last round of the game is a little different. So what we're going to do is we're just going to imagine that it is all of a sudden dinner time and we've gone through the deck and we're coming up to our last card. So I'm just going to take out, that's 4, I actually only want the 3. So let's say we just scored a table. These 2 are out. This is the last start. More realistic, looks like this. So we just scored the table. I'm now drawing the last card. This is going to be the last round of the game. Now, if you ever don't have enough tables, like for tip cards, what you then do is you would just flip over the table to symbolize that it is closed. So if we'd scored 2 tables last time, it was the last round of the game and there was only 1 card left, we closed down the table we scored and put out the next tip card. Well, probably wouldn't have gone like that. I am making a little bit of a mistake here. Most likely would have been table 1 that gets it because we score this way. So what would have happened would have been table 1 is open, but table 2 would have been closed if we'd scored both of them. Sorry for the confusion. It doesn't make a difference because of the bonus points. Now this would then be the last round of the game, whether all the seats are serviced or not. You are ending the game. So go all in and get your best score possible. And that's it. That's how you play Born to Serve. So keep it right here because Julie and I will be back with our review of the game. So Born to Serve, what did you think of the game?
Well, so the first thing I'd say is when we opened the game, I was pretty impressed with the production value of this game. The card stock, the boards, they're thick, they're nice, they're colorful, they're bright.
They also have a very nice plastified finish on it, glossy. Really like that. Also, I think the theme really comes through.
Yeah,
whereas
like the menu, like what like your scoring basically looks like a menu. There's something that looks like a comic book in there too. I think it's all
Well, all the colors are very much comic book, large. Primary color splashes.
Even the font, right?
Yeah, the font definitely. You're in your fortress of loneliness because your superhero team has been broken up by lack of government funding.
I thought it was Solitude.
Well, the Fortress of Solitude is Superman, but that's why they couldn't use it. So your Fortress of Loneliness, then you have the Phantom Zone, another superhero,
so it is,
Superman reference.
It is definitely thematic, bright, beautiful colors. The art is nice. It's I'd have to say they're not your like we said in the intro, they're not your A-list superheroes. So
it's not Jim Lee drawing Superman or Gen 13 or Image Comics. This is more Archie Comics.
No, I'd even say the superheroes look like geeks. Like they look like
Well, that's not really critiquing the art. You're just talking about the type of characters.
The type of characters. I wasn't critiquing the art. I said that they look like B or C or D class superheroes, and that's what they are, right? They're not the A-list.
They're the mystery men.
The misfits.
Oh, mystery men. Did you not see that movie with Ben Stiller? With the bowler?
No. So,
Blue Raja?
To come back to what we're doing. That I really loved. And I think it really is thematic. You're talking about waiting tables, at lunch and dinner. The tips are variable. There's some stuff that you don't know what you're going to get tipped. So there's that complexity or that added spin to it. One thing I would say, maybe just to start, it's not on the negative, but not necessarily the best feature I find for this game is you can play it at 2-player, but and we found the same thing with other games that we've played before.
Like Spirits of the Forest.
When you play it 2 players, it lacks a little bit of something. It feels less strategic and more about who's going to make a mistake first, and who maybe has an advantage with an added superpower or something. And that's something we found as well.
Yeah, not all the players feel balanced, especially at 2 players.
Yeah.
When we played, the character we're talking about in particular was Whoosh. Felt very strong to have him in a 2-player game. Felt far more balanced in a 3 to 4 player game. It just felt that his extra abilities gave him really a jump on everyone else. Well, not everyone else, but on top of the person.
Yeah, and maybe as we said, we played the 5 basic characters because we were playing it to try to discover it at 2 and at 4 players. Definitely 3, 4, 5 players. We're implying that 3 and 5 is also as much fun as 4. Definitely more fun than 2. Not that it was bad. It's just not the kind of game that we love to play. We like a little bit more complexity, a little bit more challenge at 2 players.
Yes, and what I was going to say is you really love Spirits of the Forest when we played that with 3 or 4 players, and we played it with 2, and for a game that's got and I find this very similar, high production values, looks really nice. It sat on our shelf for quite a little bit because we play most of our games at 2. Yeah. So it's just a game that doesn't hit the table as often.
Well, and I think this will be another one that we'd likely pull out with family and friends. And I think one of the best things about this game is the fact that it's very accessible, that you can play it with, people that I would call them light gamers. You can play it with more hardcore gamers as well as an intro game or get in between game, something.
No, and you highlighted the part earlier about lunch and dinner. One of the things that I really like about the game is you can play the long or the short version of the game. We've primarily played the short format because we wanted to be able to get multiple plays in for the review, try out some different stuff, and play with different player counts. And the ability to just play dinner is fantastic because you can be at a game night. All right, we've got about half hour between games, or you got two groups. Some people are leaving. Now you're going to get everyone together for one big game. This is the kind of game that can easily get to the table, and with a high player count of 5, it also works very well. Depending on the size of your group, you can definitely get most of your gaming group. Well, if you got a large gaming group, then that's not the case. But in many cases, most of your gaming group can get involved in this game.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the best things about it. It's fun. It's lighthearted. It is definitely, I think you said it before, dripping theme. I think this game could have been anything. You could have been, ex-cons trying to get the last game. You could have been super waiters. You could have been whatever. But it wouldn't have been as appealing. I think this is fun because, well, for us, because we like superheroes, and it just very thematic and lots of fun to bring to the table and easy to play. One of the things I'd say, we've said it for a lot of games, this says 13 and up. I really believe that you could probably play it. Yes, it has a little bit of small pieces, but I think you could play it with younger kids, 8 or 9, somebody who's used to playing games. You may want to have an adult with them, but there is nothing here that would make it, there's no violence, there's nothing about the theme that would make it less accessible.
No, this is a very family-friendly game. The rules, there's a couple issues I have with the rule book. I'll just mention it. Rules are very good, straightforward. Everything you need is in the rule book. I just didn't love the formatting. We were looking up some of the rules, like scoring, things like that, and just found that it was like, oh, please check this out. Well, and then I'm reading a section, and then I have to go through a couple other things in the section to find the specific line that I was looking for. Other than that, very straightforward. Didn't take me long to learn, which means it's very easy to teach. So I had no issues teaching it to Julie and anyone else we were playing with. And we took it out game night, and we had a good time. Everyone thought the game was funky, cool, and we had a nice come from behind win there. And there's a lot of different strategy that you do get in the game, and I feel that with the higher player counts, it definitely becomes evident. You get a lot of variety with the staff of the restaurant as well, which is something that you don't have to keep the same. You have, I believe it's 8 staff members, probably getting it wrong. If you go back and take a look at the components, well, you'll see all the different ones that you can pick. And then the ability to maybe get back your spent service tokens and just making those kinds of decisions really adds that variety to the game. I don't think you're ever going to get a game that plays the same twice. There's definitely a lot of content in this little box.
Mm-hmm. I think that's all I have to say about it. Anything else that you wanted to add?
No, I think we had a nice discussion on it. You definitely ran the discussion this time, but you had a lot to say, which is great. So I don't want to repeat any of Julie's comments. I agree with most of what she said. The only difference that I think I had would be I wish that there was just maybe a little bit more superpowers or variety, because when you're looking at the hero cards, they have their 2 powers. There's a lot more space or an opportunity that would have just been fun. I love the comic book flavor, and it could be there's something in here that I just missed. What I love is the bottom half of the hero card maybe just had a little description of the character that you're playing.
Yeah, you always like to have the flavor in the backstory.
I do. It's just
something
fun.
that I often skip over, but that Jason appreciates.
Yes, it just would have been nice to have, because as you say, these are your D-list superheroes.
So based on that, do you want me to go first with rating, or you?
Go ahead.
This is a solid 7 for me.
So I'm going to give this a 7.5. Production values, the art, and the theme almost got it up to an 8 for me. But the fact that it's not necessarily the best or my favorite 2-player game definitely knocks it down to a 7.5. It's something that I could see any gamer that loves superheroes and wants a fun family game could have this on their shelf and they would enjoy it. The only negative point I can bring up on that is that the game is a little pricey. You're getting all of it in terms of the production values and the art. So unlike some games, looking at you, Fantasy Flight Games, especially here in Canada, Some games you're paying a lot and you're getting, I would say, very little for in terms of production value. This, you're paying a premium price, but you're never going to question why you are. It's all there on the box and in the box.
So on that note, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell for the notification so that you'll be notified when we have some new content for you.
And down below in the video description, you can find our links to the social media feeds that we have, which are Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
There'll also be links popping up to probably the other review copy, the first one that we had, right?
Yes, to Bigfoot versus Yeti. And I know my voice is cracking a little bit. Apologies, everyone. We're going to take it out before something happens to my voice there. So what time is it?
Time to grab our drinks and our best friends.
And you grab the coaster. Grab our drinks, grab our sidekick, and
we're going to keep playing games.
Keep playing games. Well, that was an interesting end to this video.
Yeah, I think it's time. It's a sign. It's time for you to stop talking.